Alright, y'all. Peace. Ephraim here, man. I feel like it's been a little minute. As you might notice, the setup has changed once again because we are back in my Mazda. I got it. I got it back from the auto collision shop. You feel me? We got the gospel vibes, here once again. Shout out, my project Gospel. As an artist, I go by Edo Langston, and that is available on my website. If you're interested in checking out my music. Now, I got something special that I want to share with y'all today. And I just got this message. It's like a confirmation right before I came to film this video. Because something I've been thinking about lately. Also, I've been working hard. I got the ice pack, man, because I've been putting work all week. At the gym, at the MMA gym I joined this year, and it's only been like a month since I've been there, but I've progressed and grown a lot. And I feel like this is gonna tie in very well because I've had a very interesting experience so far. First of all, I love being there. I love being at the gym, and there's so many amazing fighters that I get to work with and spar with. And when we talk about motion and mobility, I realize for me as a person, as I'm learning more about the way that I think, the way that I process, and really just how vital motion and mobility is. And it's wild because as I've gotten into neuroscience, I feel like you can start to learn so much about the human brain, about these things are really intertwined, interconnected. And I find myself being the type of person I need to move around in order for me to just really receive that calm and be present. So I feel like that, calming my nervous system and just being present and focused throughout my day. When I'm either in the gym, I stretch a lot. I do a lot of mobility exercises and calisthenics, but also Muay Thai is my martial arts of choice right now. And just doing that, bag work, learning, throw punches, kicks, teeps. It's been great. So nonetheless, I want to get into it, right? When we talk about character versus integrity, right? I feel like both are vital. However, I've had this revelation that I feel like a lot of people probably don't distinguish between character and integrity. And it's just so funny because I've had some situations in the moment, especially yesterday in the gym, that really, a couple moments actually, that really were definitive and put into practice this character versus integrity idea. And now, one of the things I want to say first, that I received, through another message actually, of just character and integrity, right? Something that goes along with that, right, was literally don't bow down easily, right? Don't bow down easily. And to me, when I think about that part, I think more closely to integrity, right? Because now how I define and how I interpret integrity being more so, let's say integrity is how durable something is, right? Even if I have a material science background, so when I think about the integrity of a box, for instance, I went to school for packaging, you want to make sure that box is very durable, right? If it gets dropped, it's on an Amazon truck, it gets dropped, falls over, whatever, you got fragile things in there, you want it to hold up, you want it to keep its shape, and you want it to arrive at somebody's door, at your doorstep, intact. And it has integrity because it's able to remain intact, right? It's able to sustain its shape and form. And now on the other side, when we talk about character, even if we use that same example, it might be a little tougher, but the character of a box or whatever, the character though has more to do, to me, I think of almost like a building, the foundation. Right. So to me, character is very foundational. I've learned this so much for myself, especially in the past couple of years of even when I'm aligning, I'm working, I'm collaborating with other people, just as a creative person, as creator in general. If the character it's not aligned, there's no resemblance, that's a poor foundation. You feel me? So I'm learning, like, when I talk to people and see certain exchanges, there's even a viral video I seen this year. I don't know if y'all know. You talk about fighters, right? Shout out Bud, right? Crawford, the man's like, the champ, UFC champion. I believe it's UFC. Don't get me misquoting or whatever. But nah, I just recently learned about Crawford, and he's just such a phenomenal fighter, and I see myself in him. Like, literally, it's just the past 5-6 months of like learning about, oh, this is his journey and everything. And it's funny because I just got into fighting because I love it. It's not even like I watch it for a sport. It's just like, yo, I've always wanted to fight, like, since a young age. But studying great fighters, I think about him, Floyd Mayweather, but Crawford specifically, I know he's very big on his character. And there's a video that just went viral where he did an interview on the podcast, and where he's like, I would never sell my soul for $100 million. And then the other guy, if you know the podcast, he was like, oh, well, shoot, I might for 100 for 100 million, shoot, I sell my that's what he said. And then Crawford is dead serious, like, and he's like, okay, well, that's you. He's like, now we know your character. And it's like, man, it's funny, right? Because I feel like we don't have a lot of those moments that always go viral on the internet, where it really is a positive reinforcement of, like, very, first of all, secure man, and one, because when you're a fighter, you emanating and radiating nothing but security, when you really know, like, okay, I can handle myself, right? I don't need to be fearful about what I'm gonna say to this person, because regardless of what happens, even if it goes left, I'm good. And I think that's one of the things that people don't think about, the benefit of being a fighter. Because most people think about the other side, like, if they don't know how to fight and they're like, oh, this guy's really strong, they're scared, they're fearful, right? But if you are actually the fighter, it gives you so much peace of mind. It's so funny because I know even on the Shaolin side, people like Master Shiheng Yi, who I've definitely just listened to countless videos and studied from, and even partaked in Qigong, right? That energy work. It's like he always would talk about, with that Shaolin philosophy of, in order to have peace, it's like there has to be hardness with the soft. So you feel me? Like Bruce Lee, like, flow like water, but still, so at some point you're gonna have to be hard. Like, you're gonna have to be a little forceful, in some capacity at the very least, right? So what am I saying, right? When Crawford basically checked this person in a viral moment from his interview, I do think it was revealing, because a lot of people can say, oh, it was a joke. It's like, okay, but like, words to J. Cole, he said all good what do you say, all good jokes contain true things, basically true-ish. And it's like, even if someone jokes about something, and most of the time I feel like, especially in Western society in America, when people joke about things and they're being passive aggressive, and that's a little bit of what I've experienced at this gym I've been at. There's a coach, right? And I see a certain behavior. So when people exhibit passive aggression, it's usually their way of, the joking is passive aggression, and that's an indirect way of dealing with things. So like, if I have to tell you a joke, oh, ha, 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 like, it's like I have to make fun of you or downplay you because I can't really tell you what I don't like about you to your face. Like, to me, that's cowardly activity. You get, like, for me as a person, you get no respect from me for that. I respect you as a human and, your humanity, your spirit, but your choices and your actions, that's what Bud is saying. That's you. Now we know your character. You're revealing the type of character, and more or less, even that's where, like, values come into play, like what you value, what's important to you. Oh, you don't value being true to your word. You don't value being kind to people. You don't value being respectful. That's a part of your character, right? So now this is the character. Literally, you got like little 2D characters, little avatars. this is who you chose to be. If this is a video game, this is what you signed up for. And so for that reason, it's like people choose their character, and now their integrity is like how much do you stick to that? Because let me put it this way. Even if you say, I'm going to be a jerk, I'm going to be the bad guy, I'm going to be an a-hole, whatever. If you're going to be the bad, you're the villain, now you're the Joker, that's the character that you chose, right? In this video game, your integrity is like, well, how long are you going to play that role of the Joker? Like, are you going to be like, what's the dude who did in the movie? Are you going to be the A-list actor? Or are you going to be like, I don't know, like, I don't know why I wanted to say Jim Carrey. But like, cause he's a funny dude. But yeah, are you in like, even like with The Mask, that's so funny. Because The Mask is like, he's going back and forth. That's actually a great example. If you've ever seen, I'm pretty sure it's been a while since I've seen that movie. But The Mask, growing up as a kid, right? It's actually like, he was the villain, but it's like low integrity, because it's like, you're going back and forth. You keep switching. You're the villain one moment, and then you're another guy the next. Or any movie you've seen like that, right? Where it's like one moment, I don't know. Now I'm thinking about the Clumps, like with Eddie Murphy and Buddy Love. Like one moment he's Professor Clump, and then the next moment he's Buddy Love. So there's no integrity there, because you're playing two different characters. You're not being consistent. When you have strong integrity, it doesn't matter if you're a terrible person or if you're a patron saint. You're just going to stay true to whatever you chose to be. That's your integrity. Your character is more definitive of your choices and who you are, who you choose to be. So, right, for that reason, I say that because the other part, right, to not bow down easily, was like, I'm in the gym, I'm throwing my punches, we getting into it. And first of all, like, most people at this gym, they told me they have a foundations class. Most people come and they're working on their foundation for 3 to 6 months. And some people have prior experience. What I heard was that, one person even got through in like 1 month. Just do the foundations, go right to intermediate. For me, I have about 2.5 years in Muay Thai experience. Granted, it was a little bit on and off, right? I was working on my integrity in the past. And when I moved to Atlanta, I really was just doing bag work. I would go to LA Fitness and just hit the bag for like 5 months. But that was really me building like a foundation and keeping consistent, right? So to work on my integrity of like, I'm gonna remain solid even by myself, that was meaningful for me. And then I decided in January on the 9th to join this gym. And it took me 2 weeks when I got in there, man. It took me like 2 weeks. I did get in that car accident in between for the 1 week. But literally it's like, underneath 3, like just in time of like all together, less than a month, I was able to go to the intermediate class. And I was just so excited. I was waiting to tell you guys this. But then I was like, all right, let me go through the week. And I just was a little busier, because I would go to, I have been going to foundations, intermediate. Then I found out about this kickboxing class or fitness. And I'm like, all right, let me do that too, because I want to get my cardio up. I want to outlast, right? Again, sustain, like be durable, my integrity. I want to have integrity in the ring. So let me just go to 4 hours of martial arts training. And that's just the type of person I am. But like where I am in my life, it's been so helpful for me, because I'm like, I just want to continue to push, and I value my growth and getting better. And there's a little bit of a community. So I'm meeting other people, and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to go to this class. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to continue to work on my foundation, right? Because that's just the type of character I have. I'm big on my technique, my technical work, and making sure I'm better with my punches and kicks and my form. Excuse me, I don't know if I'm going too fast, y'all, but I get passionate about stuff like this. And then after that, right, we have the kickboxing class, right? We're just gonna do whatever they tell us, like for 5 minutes at a time, get a lot of cardio in and just repetition, which again, bag work, integrity. All right, I'm gonna do that next. After that, when we have the intermediate class, all right, now we're picking up the pace. We're doing more advanced things with a group of people who have more experience, right? Most people might have been fighting for at least a year, probably like 2 years or more. Some of the people in there, fighting way longer than I have. Of course, the coaches, but the coaches are teaching that class. What does happen after the intermediate class, however, is that certain days in the week, the people who are more advanced stay from the intermediate class, and everyone spars with everyone. It's kind of a mix, right? There's men and women in the class sparring. So that happens, and even one of the coaches, he jumps in, right? And it's my guy. We had a great conversation. I really appreciate him because things kind of resolved in a way that I didn't expect to. However, this is also a person who, he was like the first person that, when I signed up, he was the person that helped me sign up. He also happens to run and basically oversee the entire gym, right? So there's that. And now he's very kind, like just when people meet him at the door, like, hey, like welcoming the families, the kids, make sure everybody's good. But when he gets in that ring, he's a different beast, right? Different animal. So it's like, all right, he turns it up. He's known for throwing like body shots and all that. So the first time I got with him, he was just kind of like walking through. I didn't know what to expect. And I'm going to say this too, because he probably doesn't recall, but it's so funny because we had this conversation. I remember when I was still in foundations and I wasn't able to take the intermediate class yet. Like I was just working before I talked to the head coach about it. I seen them like sparring, and he just was going heavy on this dude, started punching him in his torso, in his midsection. And he just hit this dude with like a mean uppercut right in the gut. And it was clean. It was good. It looked good. It's like, And then dude just like started holding his stomach, just bent over, just kneeled over, and he just stopped. And dude just walked away, mad confident. He's like he did not care. Like and I'm just like, yo, that's crazy. Everybody else is still going, they're still fighting, but dude just on the ground like this, and he was done. He just stopped. And that's what I mean about like his integrity was tested, and that's where it was over for him. That's where he said no more. He didn't even say anything, matter of fact, but it was evident. So, the coach, he's mad confident, he's good. And mind you, it's so funny though, because we're all young dudes. Even the people who have experience, they're probably like in their early 30s, but they've just been fighting for a real long time, right? Maybe 5 to 10, 15 years. So me seeing that, right, my first day of sparring when I went against him, because for one, I'm not, also within my character, I'm not scared. In fact, I get excited about the idea of fighting and competing against people who are better than me. That fuels me because it's inherent in my value that I want to get better. Like I want to be better. And the only way to truly, not the only way, but the surest, best way to get better is to fight people who are better than you. That's it. Or to go against, to spar and work with people who are better than you. That's just reflective in life, right? So that's always what I constantly look to do. I don't look to take advantage of people who are not as strong as me, right? Who are, they don't have the same gender as me. They're defenseless, or they're learning. They don't I'm not that type of person. That's not in my character, right? And because I know myself, I understand that, and it reflects and it shows up in my environment in whatever situation. And this is where it's shown me, like, not only do I have, to me, a great character, but I have strong integrity because I hold on to that, and it's not about me being wishy-washy or picking and choosing when I want to be that person. Like, no, this is who I am, right? Hence, Ephraim. So I go against the coach, man. This is a great story time. The first time it's like boom, he's like, oh, like okay, like he's creating some openings. He's like, he just let his guard down, and I'm like hit him. I'm like, okay, boom, going for it. He's like, okay, and then one time like he's returning some punches, and then he kind of picks up the pace. This normally happens with them fighting. Starts going a little quicker because I'm moving like fast. I'm not going hard, but I'm moving fast. And then one time he caught this opening, and I just kind of hit him with a combination, and I'm like, I don't even remember what I did. It was so instinctual though. Like I think he maybe tried to like grab my leg, and I just returned, and then I almost like swept him and everything. I think it really caught him off guard, and he's like, oh, like okay, like, cause a lot of people create this perception that I'm this brand new guy, cause I'm new to their gym. Like I haven't fought before when I've been doing it for more than 2 years. I just returned, and I'm like, I want to ease my way in, and I'm working on my form. But also for me, fighting is not about my ego. I really don't fight to, I'll say this, because I want to be transparent with y'all. Not like validating myself in a way again of like, I need to feel like I'm stronger than the next person, right? For me, it's that validation is more internal. I'm fighting because I want to be the best version of myself, right? When I look at things like, having a Mamba mentality, it's like, I want to be the best. And I will be competitive. I don't know if I'm Michael Jordan competitive because I'm not like, I don't think I'm petty or anything. But I'm like, I want to continually be my absolute best. So I'm showing up for myself first and foremost. It doesn't matter. Like some people slack. Some people like, oh, I just want to ease. Like, I don't know. They don't want to go hard. They want to be soft. They want to come and do the bare minimum. They're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do this. And it's like, okay, like I learned to respect that and let them do what they want to do. But for me, when I'm in here working, I'm training myself. Right, and I really put myself in this position because I also was starting to feel like I wasn't challenging myself enough. And so people might not know that, especially just being, even though I really am, but like being an entrepreneur, being in the world alone, like I'm not working a 9 to 5, you feel me? I left my hometown. I'm creating my own structure, my own environment. So it's like, all right, I want to challenge myself, and I want to make sure I'm not becoming stagnant, because I just do what works for me. And it's very easy if you don't self-regulate, right? If you don't check in with self, you'll find like, oh, maybe I'm giving myself a little bit too much leeway. So for that reason, I'm going in on this one. For that reason, we're in this fight, man. The next time, it was yesterday, we went against each other again. Kind of like gave me an opening, like boom. And then we had this conversation. He said like, I kicked very hard on the return. Like I immediately started off. He did something and I came back hard. In my opinion, I'm like, this is not hard, man. I'm in these fights. I'm never even looking to really throw 75% of my power in just sparring with people, because that's just how I am. I'm not trying to hurt nobody. But even with him, I'm just looking at like, he's a coach. He has like 5 to 10 years of experience. I'm throwing maybe like 60% of power, but really I'm just looking to be quick and come back. It's a lot of adrenaline, all these things. So he's like, okay. He starts picking it up, and then we're returning. He's getting heavier. I'm like, all right, I'm ready for it. I'm returning, looking to do what I can. Then all of a sudden I see, and that's the thing, I just see it visually. He just like, he snaps, and he goes and tells me later, he's like, you know what? I think I did have a moment like with emotions. I kind of like lost hold of some of my emotions, and I just kind of came in the fight. But it's like, sometimes I see somebody, they go hard, I just get into it. And it's, after the fight, that's just that. But I'm like, if you want to go hard, like, okay. This dude, you talk about throwing haymakers, he start throwing these uppercuts body. He's like, like, I'm like, I'm like, all right, here we go. I'm moving around. I'm like, yo, I'm looking to guard. Then he starts throwing kicks. I'm like, And I'm just ready for it, man. But he starts going hard, and I'm like, my main thing, and I'm glad that I did. I'm protecting my head first, like my face and really my head, because I'm like, nah, you're not about to throw something crazy at my head. But he's known for body shots, so I'm starting to leave like my body open a little bit, and he's hitting me there. But I'm not gonna hold you, man. I'm just eating it, and I'm in an adrenaline moment, and I'm very calm. One thing I notice about me that's different. I know how much work again I've done with emotional regulation and nervous system, and it wasn't until I intentionally started getting into this side of neuroscience. People don't realize, like, when you have a calm nervous system, how beneficial it is. Because my thing is, I'm a person who doesn't panic. So because I didn't panic in this situation, I don't really feel like my body tensed up. Because a lot of people probably don't know, but if you tense up in any situation, a fight, it's so funny. I even had an altercation with a cop at the end of last year, and it was so funny because he said something to me, like, put me in cuffs, and he was like, don't tense up. And most people, they might get mad or whatever in a situation, but I'm like, in my mind, like, subliminally, I'm like, you know what, he's right. Like, yeah, let me relax, because me being in this position and tensing up, like, it doesn't help. And I think that's really the Bruce Lee, like, flow like water and just combat sports. Even because, like, even when you're striking, you really don't want to be tense and too rigid. You really want it to flow, and kind of like you're dancing and moving. So I'm just calm, man, and I think that gets to people even more, like, worse than anything. Me being a new fighter in their gym, I'm calm. People throw insults, people get in their ego, whatever. Like, not saying this all happened in this moment, but when you don't give people a reaction, when you know how to protect your peace, man, and refine your energy, like, I'm gonna probably talk more about that in another video, but it shows people, again, your character and your integrity. And they're like, wow, I cannot penetrate, I cannot get past this. He has a strong defense. And it's not just about fighting. It's all a metaphor for life. So that's why that happened, man. And I don't even think I'm gonna get into the whole rest of the story. But we talked. I had a conversation with him. No, and there was another situation with the coach, the coach that I've been learning from, and he told me something that came up that I was definitely hearing the concern, because when it came up to me, I was very concerned. And I think what happened was that there is this impression, and this is a completely different situation. The other coach who really teaches the class had this impression, because someone told him while he wasn't there, that I was doing something right, or I was maybe going hard in a way that was concerning to someone else, right? And this is the thing, I don't know who it was, but what did happen is that we spar with women, right? And so there was a concern to say, like, okay, this guy, like, you know, maybe he might have been going hard, like doing this or that. And they mentioned something about throwing elbows. And this is my thing. I'm like, when I spar with people, I'm not an elbow person. I know I have strong elbows, but for one, I don't think I've sparred with anyone and thrown elbows at all, because I know they say, like, you're supposed to have elbow pads getting in the gym. And I actually just bought my elbow pads as soon as I got to spar, because I'm like, before I even get in there, I want to be on point. They said this is the rule. Majority of the people don't follow it. Like, people don't have the pads, but I'm like, let me go on Facebook Marketplace, let me get some. So I do that, and then they say, like, oh yeah, he didn't have on elbow pads and he was throwing elbows. And I'm just like, now how did this happen? Because I bought elbow pads, and I know I wore them at least at the very start of the week. I know I came in the class, I put them on, and I'm like, unless there is a day in between where I didn't. But I'm like, I feel very much not to discredit anyone, but there can either be a huge misunderstanding, or it could be like, not to say like foul play, but I think sometimes when you're new to an environment, like they could be mistaking me for somebody else. So they could be like, oh, there's this one new guy, like, yeah, it probably was him that did this. But my thing is that making it known, I think, is important for me to express. Like, I have a huge amount of respect for women and a great appreciation, and all the women that I've worked with within martial arts, I love the fact that women are always like, the ones that I've worked with are always very receptive and like wanting to learn what they're doing. And I just find that women tend to have better technique too, maybe for the reason because it's important for them to be technical, right? If they're not matching the same power, like it's a bunch of dudes in here, right? And I've seen plenty of guys go hard and just do all types of things for attention or ego to make themselves feel better. So now my thing is just like, wow, how could this have happened when I've actually worked with a lot of women? Because women have the tendency to feel comfortable around me, and they're usually coming to me to partner with, and they're not even just sparring, like we're doing pad work and drills. I've had this like repeatedly happen, and I just have a great experience with them. I'm just like, okay, like you're good, like, we're working a combination. I'm gonna walk through it with them, like we're gonna take our time, like it's not about rushing or anything like that. So that's why when I had another concern brought to me by another coach, well, actually it wasn't brought to me, I actually approached him. I was like, hey, can I talk to you after class? And I talked to the other dude who was throwing haymakers. But I addressed this first because there was something I noticed that was like passive aggressive that was said, and they were kind of made a general statement like, hey guys, like don't be throwing elbows at ladies that are die. And he's just like kind of looking at me like, yeah, like, right. And I'm like, well, like, where is this coming from? And so it was my first week in this class, so I'm like, yeah, let me talk to him after class, like, can I speak to you in private? And I'm like, hey, I want to check in, And then he just kind of gradually unraveled, and he said like that this happened, but he's like, I wasn't there, I was giving you the benefit of the doubt because I wanted to come. He kind of he didn't threaten me, he didn't outright threaten me, but he was like, we had a guy in the past and he was doing this to women, and all the coaches came in the room and he was bloody on the floor. And I'm like, yo, don't get me on here. I'm just like, oh, like, okay, like that. But this is the thing, man. Again, with the integrity, when you know your character, and I'm not being fearful, it should say enough to you that as a man, like, this is somebody who has 14 years of Muay Thai. And I'm like, bro, I do not care. I do first, because I'm not scared of a fight, especially of people who are more talented than me, because then there's no reason for me to hold back. So I'm like, yes, that's the greatest scenario. I don't need to hold back. I'm not looking for a fight because let me say this, right? Not only is he more experienced than me, but it's just the fact of this guy has been like coaching me for almost a month. There's absolutely no benefit of me just fighting him, especially when people get emotionally disrupted. Like when people are emotionally unregulated and they're disturbed about something. This is why I'm talking today. It's like we need to communicate. We need to express this, because fighting isn't going to solve all our problems. So if you have a misunderstanding, like, it's not like a movie like we do. I don't know. I'm thinking like a Hawaiian movie or something where they're doing something tribal. Like, we're going to have this sparring match and it's going to decide your fate. It's like, nah, bro. If you have a problem and you're a grown man, like, I expect you to come to me and we're going to have a conversation about it. And if it's something, especially with a young woman, it's like, if I'm in the wrong, this is what I'm openly saying. Like, I'm going to acknowledge where I was wrong, and I'm going to say, that's my fault, and I can apologize or really just do my best to correct whatever needs to be corrected. You feel me? Because if it's something that wasn't made aware to me, there's no way I can be accountable for it. And granted, I'm like, every time I'm sparring with people, I'm pulling punches, and women specifically, it's like, nah, like, I want to make sure that they're golden. But granted, like everyone in the intermediate class generally, I mean, I would say generally has more experience than me, but some people might be newer. So I'm just like really wondering because I'm like I didn't spar with a lot of women either though. So Monday I'm going in the gym this upcoming week to have conversation. But both of the coaches were kind of there, and it's just funny because I tell this whole story, man, because the guy who was like punching me heavy, like we stopped. He was telling me he was giving me an out. I didn't even finish that part of the story, but he was punching me in the stomach, and I'm like defending. I'm like, all right, I'm returning. I'm getting some hits in, but he hit me really hard, and it's like I felt it. I'm like, dude, I'm like in the middle of it, I'm like, you serious? And he's like, bow down. He's like, step down. He's like, basically get out, like tap out basically if I have a problem with it. And I'm like, nah, bro, nah, bro, because you don't bow down. I don't bow down easily. That's not my integrity. You feel me? That's not my character. So I'm gonna finish this round and I'm gonna get through it. But even now, I feel like it was a form of respect at the end of the day. Cause then he came back later and he's like, you know what? We can go another round. I'm gonna give the pace, match my pace. He's like, see, look. And he's like trying to show me, cause I was pissed, bro. Cause I'm just like, why do you need to do that as a coach? But he really got upset. There's no way around it. But then he came to me like, this is like, all right. And he's like, all right, now we could do a real spar. And I'm like, nah, man, like, I don't take my mouthpiece out. I'm like, I don't want to. And I'm like, nah, can I have a conversation with you afterwards? Cause that's what we could do. We could communicate. I'm like, I don't need to use my fist to resolve certain things. I'm not about to just spend my money for you to just think you're gonna beat my ass. And it's, first of all, it's not gonna happen like that. Cause then that's the thing. I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm giving into emotional energy, right? Because it's about power. That's giving away my power just to entertain somebody else and really hold their emotions. And this is just one of the things as men that we don't realize, like how much emotional energy we're creating. And as much as like guys like to think they're being masculine all the time, that is very feminine energy. So me communicating, no matter how long, like even if it might say I'm venting or whatever, like women communicate as well, but I'm talking about feminine energy, right? So to me, it's more masculine to address our problem and not feel like we have to get in this heightened state. We have to you can have emotions, right? But I don't need to make you feel how I feel. You feel me? Like I could tell you how I feel, and if like you empathize or whatever, but I'm like, it's an ultimatum, bro. Like I don't gotta be here. I don't gotta spend my money here. I could go to another gym, straight like that. And I made it known. You feel me? So I feel like when we have a level of security, and for me growing to this point, I'll just say like having a level of self-love, respect, and security. That's what's important to me. Cause I also address. I know I'm going back and forth, but like with the other coach. And they were both in the room by the end of the conversation, and it was me and these two coaches of the gym. Well, one is the owners. Well, let me not say owner. One runs the gym, but also coaches. The other one, head coach. I'm talking to them. I'm like, yeah, this is what I observe. I'm like, also like just as far as respect. And then the one who runs the gym, he got what I was getting at. He's like, you know what? I have a lot of things to think about. Thank you for the perspective. Because we got into more just saying professionalism. This is a gym with a lot of young people. You got families in here. Like, and especially dude wants to come to me, tell me about how, yeah, we can't make him quit, or we can't make him, because he's paying his money, so all the coaches just got him in a room and beat the shit out of him. Just like, okay, that sounds very legal, like, but hey, man, like, yo, yeah, you signed a waiver. It's like, nah, bro, life don't work like that. But it's funny how people, move in this day and age. And you think telling me is a great idea? That's an intimidation tactic, but only certain people, or only so many people have levels of awareness and maybe emotional intelligence to call a spade a spade. And then I told dude, I'm like, yo, sometimes you're wondering why your students that you're teaching don't respond to you, and you're like, hey, like, am I talking to myself? Am I stupid? That's what he's saying. But it's like, dude, you're acting like a jerk. And I heard even when we came in the room, he mentioned that. He's like, yeah, we just bullied him. It's like, yeah, that's because you're showing your character. So now you're telling me, I just listened to you say you're a bully, and that's the type of behavior you're showing. Like, what does that say for the people who are actually your students who want to learn from you? You're supposed to be leading these people, and this is the choice. These are the choices that you're making. So for me, it just goes to show, like, yeah, okay, if this doesn't align for me, I'm seeing the situation through, but if it doesn't align for me, then I just don't need to be there. I can remove myself. Because he even said, he was like, oh, I'm not going to just change things for one person. And this gave me the flashbacks of, like, even when I've been in corporate, I've worked with, with white men, and I've been in the position and gotten fired from, like, an internship, and just completely different culture, completely different environment, like out of state from my hometown. And it just sounds like when people start deflecting and not having accountability, having poor integrity, and revealing their poor character. And it's like, okay, don't change. Because this is my thing, is like, I'm like, you're right, you don't have to. And I just learned the best thing and the best way for people to grow is to come into that realization themselves. Because, if everybody in your gym is like, it's not my intention, but if everybody in your gym starts to fade away or lose respect for you, then that's your fault. And you don't let me tell you and try and forewarn you or give you, great feedback, because I'm just a paying customer. Let it happen naturally. And I feel like people will learn how they need to. But you're not going to be able to say that no one told you, that I wasn't direct with you, I wasn't a man, and I didn't care about how many years of martial arts combat you had to tell you to your face, right? So to me, that's a real measure of integrity, character, and masculinity at the end of the day. And a lot of people just don't know how to navigate that weight of, like, how do we have hard conversations? You feel me? Because everything can't always be light. Everything can't be soft. Everything can't be jokes. Jokes and giggles all the time. It's like, nah, bro, you have to. Because I even heard that he's like, at the end of the class, he literally say, like, you guys are like, you're not. Are you really serious? Like, I've seen a lot of playing around. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, dude, you're the main one. You're the head coach, always making jokes and playing around. Like, what are you talking about? There's no poor integrity, man. You're not being accountable. It's unfortunate, but we all have moments where we can exhibit behavior that is hypocritical at the very least. And I think that in itself can deter us from being in alignment with where we say we really want to be, really want to go. And this whole situation that just showed me, I feel like that's the universal energy of, like, reflecting different cycles or different obstacles just to see how do we react. Because I feel like that is the way, the way God shows things to us throughout the universe, right? Throughout all these different signs, synchronicities, and people, to be like, hey, you say you want to be professional, you want to be more professional, okay, here's an opportunity. How are you going to be more professional? Hey, you want to be more serious with your training, okay, here's somebody who's serious. How are you going to handle it? And they, like, sometimes people say it's a test. A lot of times we say it's a test. And yeah, we perceive it that way. It's like, okay, well, how are you going to respond to that test? And it's like, if you don't respond the way that you say, right, that you say you want to manifest this outcome, then now it's just going to be a repetitive cycle again and again until, maybe one day we finally get it right. But yeah, I wanted to share that story with y'all, man. I'm glad to get it out in the open, and because I don't want to think about it too much, man. Because I really care. Like I care about people. I'm even empathizing with him. Like, dang, he moved me up quick. Like that's the one thing I think about. Like, because I'm new to the gym, and he wants. I know he could be like, oh man, this happened with, these ladies might have been concerned or something, or somebody might have said this, and this is my fault, right? And I mean him saying that. The coach might feel that way, but also he might feel like, oh, it's actually my fault. Like I did something. But for me, in my perspective, I have to be true to myself. To like, okay, I know I wasn't doing anything with ill intent. I know I'm not coming to harm anyone with malice, and I'm not using my full strength on anybody, let alone any women in the gym. I'm really being patient. And yeah, I'm literally just still processing it, because I'm like, I don't get upset with anybody. Like I don't get upset. I mean, when people go hard, they go hard. The dudes who start, like when they saying go hard, but even then I'm like, there's no definition for going hard, and I don't get mad at people. I just do match the intensity. But yeah, there wasn't any women who was like going hard on me or like trying to do anything to me. So there's no reason or rhyme why I would have been doing anything like that, especially elbows, because I don't throw elbows in sparring. So like, I'm gonna see how this plays out, but I'm like, y'all must have been thinking about somebody else. So yeah, it is what it is. But either way, I'm gonna keep training. The guy, the person who runs the gym, he told me, he's like, oh no, we're good. I'm gonna talk with the other coach, and he's like, thank you for being open and like transparent, because this really helped, and like there's things that we can do better. So, and I think that's just always the option, right? You can either have like a fixed mindset or a growth mindset, and it's just so evident, and like, wow, it's just so evident and apparent on like, yeah, what type of person do you want to be? Do you want to be the person that just rejects information because you feel emotional about a situation, or you feel attached, when it's like there's no guarantee that what said happened, what was said to someone happened the way that we perceive it to happen, right? Especially when it's hearsay, like nobody was there to observe it, right? Even though there was people who were there, but I don't know exactly what happened, because yeah, like the coach dude wasn't there, but they didn't tell anybody, I guess, that was at the gym that night, but they waited another night to like tell this person. So I'm just like, I don't know, I want to figure this out, man. But again, I'm very willing to address where I was wrong, and like, yo, that's my fault. And if somebody needs me to dial things back or be slow, it's like, all right, like, cool, let's do that. I'm just here to say like, yo, this is the gym at the end of the day. And Friday is the advanced days where like we do hard sparring, but throughout the week it's more calm. I'm not gonna get into all this either way though. I'm probably gonna get some food, because I haven't yet. Thank you guys for hearing me out and listening. Music on the way if you want to tap in. Ito Langston, I'm gonna leave it below again. Ekanamiko.univer.se. But yeah, I'm excited to tap in with y'all, and I got more coming soon. So stay tuned. Peace.